but we want to turn now to the latest from Nashville, where the first vigil for the 6 victims of Monday's deadly school shooting was held yesterday. NBC News correspondent Katie Beck has the latest.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
At Nashville's Public Square, an emotional tribute to the 6 victims of Monday's mass shooting at the Covenant School. Dr. Jill Biden among the mourners at the candlelight vigil. Earlier Wednesday, the First Lady laying flowers at a memorial outside the school, where Monday a shooter blasted through locked doors using a high-powered rifle, killing 3 adults and 3 children before dying in an encounter with police. Now investigators sifting through the writings that 28-year-old killer Audrey Hale left behind. A police spokesperson telling CNN it's possible the shooter had weapons training, but others never knew Hale to be violent or angry.
She was very calm, very quiet.
College art teacher Maria Colomé taught Hale in 2017, saying the student showed signs of emotional stress, crying once in class over a locked computer.
For the last year, the only thing she's posted on Facebook has been statuses about her grieving and how much pain she has been in. The nature of what she was posting seemed like it was a former romantic partner.
But adding she never thought Hale could be a threat to anyone.
There's no forgiving what she did, but she obviously was not in her right mental state for a long time.
Community leaders, meanwhile, are praising the staff at the school, who they say protected students and kept them calm during the attack. One teacher seen on video leading students away from the school. Jason Hoffman says he jumped out of his vehicle to help stop traffic.
I just saw fear. I saw these kids were screaming, they were crying.
All of it as a growing call for change now stretches from Nashville to Washington, where a renewed push for gun control legislation led to this heated exchange.
They won't do anything to save the lives of our children.
Rule that allows teachers to carry.
Oh my God. Carry guns? You think more guns need to more that?
Oh, NBC's Katie Beck with that report. And joining us now, Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Sheryl Crow. And you just saw that she performed at yesterday's candlelight vigil in Nashville, honoring the victims. Here's a bit more of that.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Also with us, co-founder and CEO of the Sandy Hook Promise Action Fund, Mark Barden. Good to have you both. Thank you, Mark, for joining us. Sheryl, tell us about the vigil last night and how the community is coping.
I'll be honest with you. It's really difficult for me to even speak about this because I'm a mom. I'm raising 2 boys. We live right down the street from Covenant. My kids go to a school very near there, and I've asked them permission to speak out on behalf of all moms. We've had some really difficult conversations about what the world looks like now. I mean, my kids have a running joke that I was born in the 1870s. But yes, I remember a time when, going to school was not stressful. It was the only thing you worried about was whether you were wearing the same thing every other kid was wearing. And this isn't normal. And, I definitely am not here to talk about gun control. I do agree with Heidi Campbell, who I think is very articulate and outspoken about the fact that where someone dies by a bullet, there was a gun involved. And my kids who are 12 and 15, they asked me after it happened on the way to school, what would have happened if this were the situation? Or what would have happened if this were the situation? And there are questions that are not anything a kid should ever be asking. And so in this case, this is one of the reasons that I wanted to bring Mark on the show with me, because I love what Sandy Hook Promise does, which is it empowers our children at a time when we aren't talking about taking guns. At least we're not talking about taking military grade weaponry out of the hands of every American or any American. What we're doing is talking about how to enable our kids to have some power in a situation where they are powerless. And that's what I want to talk about. And until we're talking about solutions, these are things that can be put into every school in America that save us from having to arm our teachers and arm our security people. I mean, honestly, when we're at a point when we're arming teachers, being a former teacher, we're going to lose a lot of great potential teachers who don't want to be armed, who don't want to be in that situation. And that's one of the reasons that I'm speaking out. And I asked my kids, would you be comfortable with me going on and talking about this? This is, for me, not a Second Amendment conversation. This is about what is something we can be doing to help our kids not be helpless.
And Mark, I know how difficult it is every time there's a shooting, particularly a school shooting, to feel that trauma come back again, to think about your wonderful son, Daniel, who died just over a decade ago at Sandy Hook. But you've been working on this issue as an activist ever since then. You've made it part of your life's purpose here. So just to piggyback off what Cheryl was just saying, what are some of the things that can still be done? And I think it's important to stop and say some of the things that actually have been done since Sandy Hook to make our schools safer.
That's right. And I'll just start with my heart goes out to these families who are now on this indescribably painful journey that will be for the rest of their lives, and that I'm here for them in any way I can be at any time. But I think Cheryl said it very succinctly and accurately that, you know, we need to empower our students and our teachers and our parents and communities now before it becomes a tragedy. Look, we know that people who are at risk of hurting themselves or others almost always show warning signs first. And every one of those warning signs represents an opportunity for somebody who is trained how to know those signs to intervene and get that person the help they need before it becomes a tragedy. And that's what we do at Sandy Hook Promise. And it does work. We have a model that works. We don't charge for it. We've already prevented 14 school shootings that were imminent and planned. That's that we can speak of by students who are trained how to recognize those warning signs and tell a trusted adult or use the anonymous reporting system and connect somebody to the help that they need before it becomes a tragedy like this.
You know, Cheryl, you are sometimes a lonely voice in Nashville. I have friends, lifelong Republicans that live there, who say over the past 5 years, things have just gotten crazy. They go into Crystal and their people are carrying, you know, long rifles with them. On that, I mean, it seems that in an age where we're seeing more and more kids slaughtered in schools, we're actually seeing more and more radical legislation being passed in states like Tennessee. What I don't quite understand.
I can't.
To be honest with you. I say this. You say you're not talking about the Second Amendment. I'm a gun owner. I've been a gun owner for a long time.
I mean, he's not either talking about it. I mean, you can have guns. It's just how to make them safe and keep them out of our
agree.
hands.
And, you know, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I really struggled with yesterday because I am predictable. I'm predictable. You know, I'm a person who shows up to fight for the freedoms of the disenfranchised. You know, I show up at Love Rising. I don't think it's fair to legislate people's inability to gather peacefully, whether it be on the street where a school is, and I don't believe that I should lose my freedom to send my kid to a school safely so that you can own military grade weapons. But I'm not going to say we need to come in and take guns. What I'm saying is we have opportunities that everybody, I guarantee you the statistic of moms and dads in Tennessee want there to be sensible legislation. They want the red flag laws. They want background checks. They want there to be a time limit between somebody being able to go into 7 different gun outlets and buy these weapons in one day. They want these things. And I will be honest with you. I had a conversation with a legislator last night at this rally, and I went up to her and said, is there some common ground? And what I heard was, we're excited about the leftover COVID money going into fortifying our schools, making them safer. And I said, how about that COVID money going to not arming more people, but perhaps let's look at the programs where we give a child the opportunity on a phone to anonymously have a hotline that goes to someone who is trained in their school, where they can say, I heard someone talking. I saw on their feed, they're talking about wanting to hurt people. They're talking about wanting to hurt themselves. Training our people how to deal with, unless we're going to put up red flag laws, training our children to have an anonymous voice, to be the eyes and the ears. And this is what Sandy Hook Promise does. They give a voice to our children. My child, who's about to be 16, is asking me, what do I do? And I want to say, I mean, I picked him up and started crying, and he's looking at me like, what's wrong? And I said, I don't want to have these conversations with you. And I guarantee you, and Mark can speak to this, why are we having these conversations? Until these conversations change, we need to at least give our children the ability to have a voice in this.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, I don't want to talk to the legislators of Tennessee if they've been voted and they don't want to represent what we are asking for.
Yeah.
You know, I think we can look at how much money goes into the pockets of our politicians from the NRA and other huge corporations that fund the laws they want or don't want to see. But what it's creating, to me, is an imbalance in mental health, not only in our children, but in the parents who feel like this is a conversation about patriotism, and it is not a conversation about patriotism.
Yeah.